I like pretty plants.
And I am a total garden nerd.
We've visited dozens of botanical gardens around the world, and they're always some of our favorite stops on any trip.
Technically speaking, a botanic garden is an institution holding documented collections of living plants for the purposes of scientific research, conservation, display, and education.
There are about 1,800 botanical gardens and arboreta around the world, and the idea of gardens used specifically for the study of plants dates back to antiquity.
Royal gardens stocked with specimens that were acquired on special collecting trips or during foreign military campaigns are known from ancient times in places like Egypt, Mesopotamia, Crete, Mexico, and China.
Starting in the 16th century, botanical gardens began their contribution to a deeper scientific curiosity about plants. The botanical gardens of southern Europe were originally associated with universities, including the Botanical Garden of Padua, Italy, which is the oldest academic garden still at its original location.
It's also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. According to UNESCO, the Botanical Garden of Padua is the original of all botanical gardens throughout the world and represents the birth of science, of scientific exchanges, and understanding of the relationship between nature and culture.
Another UNESCO World Heritage Site is the Royal Gardens at Kew, which were founded in London in 1759 as part of a royal medicinal garden.
At the time, British horticulturalists were importing all kinds of plants from their colonies in North America, and horticulture was becoming incredibly popular.
According to botanists and historians, Kew is, in many ways, the ideal botanic garden, and there's certainly something for every type of plant lover among its 300 acres.
Back in the former British colony of America, John Bartram founded Bartram's Garden in Philadelphia in 1728. It was America's first botanical garden, and it's been followed by hundreds of others across the country, including the Missouri Botanical Garden in St. Louis, the Desert Botanical Garden in Phoenix, the New York Botanical Garden, Portland Botanical Gardens, and the International Rose Test Garden, Denver Botanic Gardens, California's Huntington Botanical Gardens, and the United States Botanic Garden in Washington, D.C.
Besides Kew Gardens and the University of Padua, the only other botanical garden in the world to be designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site is the Singapore Botanic Garden. Established in 1859, this tropical oasis transformed the island into Garden City and played a vital role in Singapore's economy by developing its rubber trade using seedlings sent from Kew.
Singapore Botanic Gardens are also home to its National Orchid Gallery, featuring more than 1,200 species and thousands of hybrids from all around the world.
Some of the world's most famous gardens are classified as display gardens rather than botanical gardens. On Vancouver Island in British Columbia, Canada's Bouchard Gardens are a National Historical Site.
They feature hundreds of varieties of plants showcased in several themed areas, including a Japanese garden filled with rhododendrons and azaleas, a formal Italian garden, and the Bouchard centerpiece, the Sunken Garden, built on the site of a former rock quarry.
Closer to home, Tennessee's public gardens include Cheekwood in Nashville.
It features a Japanese-style tea garden and gardens highlighting wildflowers, herbs, dogwoods, and more, all surrounding the historic Cheekwood Mansion.
There are also the Atlanta Botanical Gardens and the Birmingham Botanical Gardens, where you can see species that thrive in the climate of the Southeast.
For more beautiful blooms from around the world, visit WeMarriedAdventure.com and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok for travel tips that will help you plan a glorious garden adventure of your own.
It's just always a good time when they're here with us. We've got them live from the gardens here. Mike and Angela Ballard, We Married Adventure. Hey, y'all.
How you doing?
I'm so good. We've learned a lot about Mike and Angela while watching the video. First off, Angela, you're a master gardener?
Yes. My mother and I went through the training together and master gardeners, and I'm also certified in native plants, which I love when we're traveling because native plants here aren't native plants elsewhere.
Right.
And I love seeing what grows where it's supposed to grow around the world.
And I'm not going to kid you. Everywhere we go, when it's a garden, I try and take pictures and stump her, and I never do. I'm like, but you don't know what this is. And she's like, yeah, I got that.
I also have iNaturalist, which is my favorite app, because when I travel,
so cool.
when you're looking at things outside of your normal growing area, iNaturalist is the best way to figure out what that gorgeous thing or weird thing or interesting thing is that you're looking at.
You just take a picture of it, and the app tells you what it is.
And then experts verify it. So it's not just AI. You actually have botanists from around the world who say this is the very specific thing you're looking at with authority.
How cool.
Now, I did want to mention, in that video, how many botanical gardens did we see?
There are probably 15 or 20 in that video.
Yeah,
but
snippets,
I mean, there are 1,800 official botanical gardens and arboretum around the world. There are 800 in the U.S. alone.
Wow.
So a lot of choices. Right here in Chattanooga, we have Reflection Riding,
We love them,
which is the Arboretum and the Nature Center. So you have 300 acres there. All kinds of choices within 2 hours drive as well.
And we've seen a lot of them because every time we take a trip, I try and take her to a botanical garden because that's going to be a good travel day.
Yeah.
It just is. Exercise, outdoors, beautiful things.
Happy wife, happy life.
And then last time you were here, Angela, we talked about solo traveling. This would be a perfect thing for a solo traveler to go and do.
Absolutely. The Portland Botanical Garden and the International Rose Test Garden. I did that on a solo trip to Portland, Oregon. And almost every single mother-daughter trip and father-daughter trip that I take involves a garden or is planned specifically to go to a garden. Bouchard Gardens in Canada. That's where I took my mom for Mother's Day last year. The Desert Botanical Garden in Phoenix, Huntington Gardens in California. Those were father-daughter trips. So it's the whole family. Mike's not the only one I dragged to a garden.
I love it, though. I love it.
Equal opportunity. Now, Angela, I have to know, this is going to be a very tough question. If you don't have the answer, I guess that's fine. So many people out there with a green thumb are wanting to do exactly what you're doing. What is your that you've
my
been
favorite
to?
garden?
I know, I'm sorry.
I'm obsessed with Kew Gardens in London. As a matter of fact, I got in touch with them. I wanted to volunteer there.
Yeah.
They have so many other gardeners from around the world who are obsessed. There's a 2-year waiting list to volunteer at Kew Gardens. So, I mean, that's kind of the pinnacle.
Jealous.
Yeah.
Jealous.
Yeah.
All right, well, if we want to keep up with everything We Made Adventure, remind us again, where can we go for all that?
We're at WeMarriedAdventure.com. We're on Facebook and Instagram, and Mr. Mike Ballard is on the tip top, as the children call it.
I love it.